Let's take a look at customary units of capacity.
Capacity is defined as the amount a container can hold. So we have a given container, and this is the amount that container can hold. For instance, the amount of liquid a container could hold, of water a container could hold, of sand a container can hold. Our different customary units for capacity are going to be cups. So we could have a cup of water. The next one up from there was going to be pints. We also talk about quarts. And then we also talk about gallons when we are talking about capacity. For instance, you could have a gallon of milk. There are different relationships in between each of these. So in between pints and cups, we have 1 pint equaling 2 cups. Another relationship that we have is 1 quart equaling 2 pints, which also equals 4 cups. Another relationship that you should remember is that 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Since 1 gallon equals 4 quarts, 1 gallon is also equal to 16 cups, since 1 quart is 4 cups. And then so what we do there is we multiply 4 times 4 to get 16. We actually are going to use these here. So take a moment to copy them down and copy these relationships down. That 1 pint equals 2 cups. 1 quart equals 2 pints, which also equals 4 cups, and 1 gallon equaling 4 quarts, which does also equal 16 cups. Go ahead and pause the video here, and then I'll show you how we'll use these to help us solve some common problems. Here's a common type problem that we might receive, where it says 8 cups equals how many pints? And then so what we're going to do is we write down that equation that we're going to use, that 1 pint equals how many cups? 2 cups. So, let's see. So if 1 pint equals 2 cups, I'm actually going from something smaller to something bigger. And when you go from something smaller to something bigger, you actually divide. Smaller to bigger, you divide. And so in this case, I'm going to divide by 2 to get the number of pints that this will be. So I'll go 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4 pints. So 1 pint is 2 cups. And then so to get from 2 cups to 8 cups, I would have multiplied by 4 here. And then that's why 1 pint times 4 does give us 4 pints. So that equation still holds true. And what I did is the reverse here, where I went 8 divided by 2 equaling that 4 that would have been there. And that's why this holds true, and that was the conversion from something smaller to something bigger. Here I'm going from 20 quarts to gallons. So I know that 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. So how did I get from 4 to 20? I would have to multiply by 5. And then so 1 would have to also get multiplied by 5, so that 20 quarts does equal 5 gallons. Alternatively, I could have just divided by 4, because I am going from something smaller to something bigger, where 20 divided by 4 does give me 5 gallons. You always should think whether or not it's reasonable, and whether your answer is reasonable. 20 quarts, 5 gallons. 4 quarts was 1 gallon. Does seem to be reasonable. Okay, I have 6 pints equaling how many cups? So I know the relationship that 1 pint equals 2 cups. And then so to get from 1 to 6, I multiply by 6. So I multiply by 6 on the opposite side of my equation. 2 times 6 equals 12. Alternatively, I would have known that pints to cups, I just multiply by 2 because of this equation right here. And 6 times 2 does equal 12. In this case, I'm going from something larger to something smaller, so I would need more of those smaller things to equal that larger thing there. And that's why I did multiply by 2 there, because of this relationship. Okay, it's time for you to try. I wrote out an equation for you, and I even gave you the relationship that 16 cups equals 1 gallon to help you there. 32 cups equals how many gallons then? What would you do? How do you solve it? Hit pause while you come up with that solution. Did you come up with times 2 here? So you times 2 here to get 1 times 2 equaling 2 gallons? Hopefully. 32 cups equals 2 gallons. Here's another one for you to try. 10 pints equals how many cups? Write down that relationship first, that's going to help you, and then solve it. Hit pause. A relationship that would have helped you is 1 pint does equal 2 cups. From 1 to 10, you multiply by 10. On the opposite side, you also multiply by 10 then. 2 times 10 is 20. 10 pints equals 20 cups. I very could clearly see somebody accidentally write 10 pints equaling 5 cups. That's not the case, as 10 times 2 would give you 20. In this case, you're going from something bigger to something smaller, so you better multiply. And this is the equation that helps you. So those are all customary units of capacity. Let's review. The smallest one that we knew about and talked about was cups. Our next customary unit of capacity that we talked about, 2 cups equals how many pints? 1 pint, and we talked about a pint as well. We also had 4 cups equaling what? You could have said 2 pints, or you said 1 quart. And finally, one other relationship that you should have remembered was our quarts to our largest unit of capacity that we talked about, which was the gallon. Lastly, in reviewing, we always should put another one of those conversions in there. So if we had 16 cups, and that equaled how many quarts? Blank quarts. The equation that helped us was 4 cups equaling 1 quart. To get from 16 to 4, let's go from 4 to 16. I multiply by 4, so 1 times 4 is 4. 4 quarts, 16 cups, what also happens to equal 1 gallon. That was right here. So, that's our review. Customary units of capacity. Cups, pints, quarts, and gallons. Capacity. How much a container can hold.